Hello there. What is going on, everyone? We're going to talk about Gungans today in Star Wars Legion because I'm placing a bet with all of you. I am putting my honor down on the line. I'm putting my ever clean and unsalted reputation on the line to say that we're going to see a Gungan announcement this year at Adepticon. I feel like it's a pretty much a sure thing. I think this is the ringer. I think all the stars are aligned, the planets are lined up, and everything is right. The formula is right, the timing's right, the balance is ready for the Bombard General. Me's like this. Okay, so we're going to talk about this today because if you've followed me for a while, you know I've talked about this before. Of all the factions, all the sub-factions, all the battle forces that I've ever wanted to see in Star Wars Legion, at the top of that list are the Gungans. I feel like they are perfect for Legion, although I would not be surprised if they show up for Shatterpoint first, as it has been the case lately. I feel like everything, even things that get announced for Legion, almost a whole year ahead of time, still end up getting coming out for Shatterpoint first. But Legion's on a slower release schedule. And Shatterpoint's still new, so it's it kind of stands to, it seems logical we'll probably get something for Shatterpoint first, or at least at the same point. But I expect both games to get Gungans. Primarily, they think they make a lot more sense in Star Wars Legion because they were a Grand Army. And Legion has a Grand Army format. It was named after that Grand Army. Look, the Gungans they just have to show up in this game. And there's no way you can convince me that AMG isn't dying to make a Gungan battle force. There's no way you can convince me that people who are as completely over the moon with Ewoks as they are. And I don't fault them for that. Everybody has their, I don't kink shame around here. But you can't tell me that the AMG isn't also like 10 times more excited to put Jar Jar Binks and Boss Nass and Captain Tarpals and the Quadoos and all of this stuff into the game. Like, they've got to be just frothing at the mouth. They've got to be like just chomping at the bit to get Gungans out. This is the time. So, what makes me think this? Well, before I get into it, I want to remind you guys to subscribe, click that bell for alerts so you don't miss out on new content. We are doing a $25 Amazon gift card giveaway right now. You just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. That enters you to win. We'll be announcing that in early March. You can put that towards a Star Wars Legion or other gaming expansion of your choice. I typically announce the winners towards the end of my videos, so stay tuned for that as well. But you still have time to enter to win. Also, join our Discord, social media links, all that stuff down in the video description. So why is this, is this Adepticon different than all the other times we had chances for announcements for these guys? Well, I think the biggest one is that it's the 25th anniversary of the Phantom Menace. It's the 25th anniversary of the biggest ground battle we've ever seen. I say biggest as far as like maybe number of actual troops on screen. I think the Battle of Hoth was more iconic, and I think the battle at Crate had the biggest vehicle. But I think the Battle of Naboo is Legion, right? Like maybe a Legion Grand Army, or maybe a Legion 7,000 point battle or something like that. But that's like, dude, it's like incredible. And then of course we need flat terrain to go along with that too, so we can just have bubble shields. But seriously, a Gungan army is just right where it's at. So many reasons. This is like the biggest thing that I think it makes it stand out. May 3rd of this year, The Phantom Menace is going back into theaters again. Now, this makes like the third separate time this movie's gone back into theaters, like it was the initial release. Then they were doing like this whole 3D push, like 15 years ago. Do you guys remember that? where I don't know if it was exactly 15 years ago. I don't remember, but like they did this whole big 3D push of like, hey, we're gonna send the Phantom Menace back into the theaters in 3D, and they never did any of the other movies in 3D. So it was just Phantom Menace in 3D, and now Phantom Menace is coming back. And look, say what you will, I think Phantom Menace aged pretty well. I think it's a fantastic movie. I mean, watch the first 20 minutes of that and tell me this isn't Star Wars gold. It is just absolutely incredible. And say what you will about Jar Jar Binks. A lot of people had different mixed opinions on him over the years, but like the whole movie, you know, if you took a little bit of the silliness out and took the pod race out, you still have a movie that appeals to hardcore fans and the older fan base at the time. But then you toss in the Gungans and the pod racing, that kind of completes out the picture, because really, from a certain point of view, Star Wars movies are made to be kid-friendly, family fun, right? That also happen to have some cool sci-fi and cool effects and all that other stuff. It's meant to be that total picture. And Phantom Menace kind of delivered on all of that. And I think it's only aged better and better over time. So it's really cool, especially hearing Dave Filoni talk about the Duel of the Fates and what that actually meant. You know, the battle for Anakin, is Qui-Gon going to win it, or is Obi-Wan going to be, you know, who's going to be training him? You know, and the dark side won that day. Spoilers! But yes, Phantom Menace coming back, 25th anniversary. They did Ewoks for Return of the Jedi's big 40th anniversary. 25 is a more iconic anniversary than 40. So definitely, this is the time. It's going back into movie theaters. There's never going to be a bigger time to have hype on the side of the Gungans. I think they've been sitting on Gungans for a while. I think they've been sitting on Gungans for a long time. They've probably had Gungans ready to go. I think we are not only going to see Gungans announced, but I think we're going to see them released this year. I don't think this is going to be one of those announcements where there's like, Gungans, and oh, they're coming out in 2025, maybe even 2026. You know, no, I think they're like, I think we're going to see I think we're going to see box art and even painted samples. And like, they're probably going to be like a summer or maybe fall release. But like a summer release would be really cool, because they'd be like, boom, May the 4th, all this big stuff, Phantom Menace back in theaters, you know, big push for Gungans, while they're in the massive public eye. Walk into a game store, see somebody set up with like 6 boxes of Gungans. This guy is going to do that. And just go crazy baloney face. I don't know what baloney face means. I just made it up on the spot, because it'd be amazing. Now, my fears are coming. And then we'll get back into even more reasons why. So my fear is we're not going to have enough Gungans. It might sell out because they're going to be very, very popular. Yes, I know there's some of you that hate Gungans. I know there's some of you that say, like, I don't want Gungans. That's fine. You don't have to buy them. Leave more for me. No problem there. I think everybody wins. You don't have Gungans on your table. I have extra Gungans on my table. We're all happy. Everybody's hidey-hiddly-ho, neighbor. But now, my fear is that there's too much Gungan goodness to make. So, all right. If we follow what the formula has been for AMG's stuff, they release a core box, a commander, and an operative. Or basically two heroes and a core box. We've got way more than that needs to happen for Gungans. Way more than that needs to happen. So, we've got Gungan troops. Okay, that's fine. You can have them with spears, you can have them with shields, and you can also have like maybe some dude with like a big sling throwing the boomba. Okay? Like, I think that makes sense. I think that gives you like all the different Gungan options that you need for your basic core, your basic Gungan infantry. But you've got the Quadus, right? Is that what they're called? Are they called Quadus? Quadus? But yeah, you've got those riders, the little raptor things. You need riders for those. You also got the big bada booms. They're the big shield generator guys. Need them also. They're not going to do them. I mean, they should. They really should do them. They ought to do them. Like that. Those guys deserve to be made, but they're big. And it's like the same reason they haven't done an ATTE or an ATAT or an AT-AT, which is properly called. But yeah, they're not going to do those guys for that reason. So I'm not going to really go on a crusade for the giant shield generator guys, because, you know, we'll just have to get those on our tabletop, you know, somehow, which is fine. But we also have more than 2 named characters. We got to have Jar Jar Binks. Of course we're going to have Jar Jar Binks. But is he going to be a commander? Is he going to be an operative? Is he going to be dual roles? Can you run him as Bombad General? Or maybe you like I think it'd be like a command card. You have like a Bombad General card where you play him as an operative, but if you play him as Bombad General, who's like, oh, he gets to be a commander today, maybe something like that. But you've also got Captain Tarpals and Boss Nass as other named leaders, both important, both have roles to play. So which one do you leave out? Captain Tarpals was the battlefield commander, but Boss Nass was the overall. I mean, like kind of like the Poggle the Lesser equivalent. And plus, Boss Nass would look pretty cool and would look more standoutish amongst all of these guys. So I've got to have all of them. There's just not going to be like a normal way to do this. Now, what I think they should do, is you have. Here we go. You have your pack that's got Boss Nass and Jar Jar Binks on the ground. Okay, you have both of them. Boss Nass commander, Jar Jar Binks operative. Okay, then you have your core, and you do a third box, and it's a Quadu rider, but the rider has 3 different build options. 3 different build options for the rider. One is a generic, so you can have your support. It's that Quadu rider. Am I saying that right? Anyway, and then you can build him as Captain Tarpals, who we often see riding one of these things. He could be a mounted commander. Sounds beautiful. Sounds great. Love it. Hero unit. Good. Golden. Third build option, Jar Jar Binks on there. If you're not going to run him as regular, use a people going to die, you can run him flying around. Misa give up, like riding around on that thing. I think it works. You got 3 different options, but the thing is, you can buy that box and you can have your rider, and you can buy like 2 of them. You can buy 3 of them. You can assemble them all different ways. Whichever rider you want. Maybe magnetize the rider, swap them out. Do you want to run triple support, or do you want to run like some hero units or whatever? I think that's the best way to do that. Or you put 2 riders in a box and you can kind of build them out however you want, whatever permutation you want. Maybe you buy 2 boxes, you get 4 riders. I don't know. So you got some different options there. Now we've got ourselves the makings of an army. Now, we could also do some other things. We could have a Quadu that's like pulling a big, like the chariot of all the big Boombas. They could do the catapults and the siege weaponry. I don't expect them to really do that, but I think that, those things deserve to be made. But I think the first wave ought to see, has to have those 3 things. I think you need Boss Nass, Jar Jar Binks probably in a pack. I think you need your core, of course, and I think you need the Quadus. So I think you need 3 options. Now, we're going to go back into why this is the magic year. Also, we have also seen the Geonosians come out. Geonosians have come out. These guys are the counterpart to that. Geonosians and Gungans were the first 2. I don't want to say battle forces, but like sub factions that were first ever hinted at by Luke Eddy and Alex Davey, like back at I think the first Adepticon after Clone Wars for Legion was kind of announced, and so. Those are definitely, the first 2 things that were put into everybody's mind. So, of course, they're definitely going to be talked about, definitely coming, right? But, and there's a big but, we've only got Geonosians so far, and we don't have the Geonosian battle force yet. Now, there are some people out there that's saying, and they never said they were going to give us a Geonosian battle force. Of course they did. Absolutely. We have it on tape. We have the receipts. Will Schick said it. And it was talked about, it actually was mentioned multiple times by AMG. I think I want to say it was at Mini Stravaganza. But it might have, no, I'm sorry. It was at Adepticon last year when they were first teased. They said that they would be run normal, but then after their release, a battle force would be coming. We haven't seen that yet. So if you're going to announce the creation of a new battle force for the Separatists, that happens to be alien-centric, you need a new battle force for the Republic. You need both hands coming together to do this. Okay, you have to do this. You got to do this trick. Do you know how to do this? Is there a floating finger in here? Or is it a half Geonosian, half Gungan worm in my hands? You will never know. Okay, so you didn't know that I was a magician as well. It's crazy the things that you will see when you watch this. So, if you can't tell, I'm pretty excited about the inevitable announcement of Gungans showing up in Star Wars Legion. And I also think they'll show up in Shatterpoint. I think we'll at least get Jar Jar Binks in Shatterpoint, maybe mixed with something else. I don't think we'll get like a whole bunch of Gungans, but they may. If they're already commissioning artwork for it all, then sure. But this has to show up. Hopefully it's like ready, it's in the works. My guess is that Geonosians would have been worked on around the same time as Gungans, and if it was like the old FFG days, we would see like both kind of come out at the same time. But like AMG's got Legion on a much slower release schedule right now, and that's why. What have we seen, like 2 expansions in the last 6 months for Legion or something like that? It's just like, we're not getting, the pace we were used to years ago is long gone. This is the new pace. So you kind of design this whole wave and you kind of spread it out over a year or so if you can. So I think Gungans were probably being worked on. They'll be coming out eventually, for sure. It has to be, So I'm putting my honor on the line here. We'll see if I'm right. We'll see if I'm wrong. So yeah, we'll see. I want to hear your thoughts though, because look, Separatists are up right now. Republic needs another core. They need another core. Here we go. Now, granted, they might throw a curveball and be like, oh, well, it's going to be Mon Calamari, and then it's going to be Captain Akbar, and it's going to be, the shark dude, Riff Tamson, which actually would be really cool. And I'm like, I totally would love to see those things. Also, Riff Tamson at close to the top of my list of things I'd love to see. But priorities here, folks. Gungans first. It's the year of the 25th anniversary, May 3rd, Phantom Menace coming back into theaters. That'll be fun to go see a Star Wars movie again, even if it's one you've already seen 1,000 times. This was a cool movie. When Duel of the Fates kicks in and everybody's hair catches on fire, it's just like, it's crazy. Let me know your thoughts. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a really exciting Adepticon. It's going to be really exciting Worlds, and then announcements, and who knows what crazy stuff we're going to see. We'll be talking all about it when the time comes. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all so much. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys help make this channel possible, so thank you so much for your continued support. I will talk to you later. May the Force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. Always have a great day, and always wash your socks.